Let's say there is an application called Facebook.com. We already discussed about this application yesterday, and this Facebook.com has a normal UI, user interface. In this user interface, whenever a new user comes to log in, he needs to sign up. So there are two different buttons, sign up and sign in. Now if you are a new user, you need to click on the sign up, and the moment you click on the sign up, it will open up a registration form. Now let's say that registration form looks like it will ask you to fill up your name, your country, your mobile, your password, and your email ID. Let's say these are the 5 different attributes which you need to fill up manually in this particular form. Now once you click on submit, there is a submit button over there. This complete website is, let's say, built upon Java Servlet. So the moment you click on the submit button, it will call some action, and there is a servlet which is going to use JDBC connectivity, and it is going to insert this information into a database table. It is going to insert a new row with the information provided in this particular form. So this is how the entire application was working. Now let's say the application team wants to onboard this particular application to OIM. They want that entire application should be managed via OIM. Now when they have decided to manage this via OIM, there are lots of benefits which we already discussed yesterday, but the moment we want this application to be onboarded to OIM, there are few different steps which we need to follow. For example, whenever we want to integrate any new application with OIM, what are the different procedures for integrating a new application? These are the different steps. Just let me know if you are not aware about these steps. The first steps is to install the connector. Whatever will be applicable for that particular target system, you need to install the connector for that. Then we need to create the application instance, and we need to create a form for that particular application. Then we need to attach this form with the application instance. Once we attach the form with the application instance, then we need to these two steps should be done in the sandbox. Once we're done with these changes, we need to publish the sandbox. Once we publish the sandbox, then we are going to enrichment of the catalog, like who are going to be the approver users, certified user, if you want to use the certification and all, who are going to be the approver users, certified users, and all those details we are generally going to feed into the application instance details. Now the moment we have done this, if you want to create any sort of workflow rules, you can create for that particular application instance or entitlement. Right? These are the normal steps in order to onboard or in order to integrate this particular application with OIM. Any doubt up to this part?
No.
These are the normal steps which we, on a layman term or on a overall, these are the 5 basic steps which are applicable for any of the target system. Now, let's
Sure.
go into some more details. What provisioning is saying. Provisioning means that this is a target system. This is my OIM system. Now, provisioning means we are passing the proper information to the target system, right? We are simply supplying the information to the target system. The data flow will be from OIM to the target system. Now, what are all the data which you want to pass to the target system? All those data are kept inside a form, and this is referred to as process form. What are all the data which you want to send to the target system? All these data are kept or clubbed together inside the process form. Okay, up to this part is fine. Process form basically depends upon application to application. It varies from application to application. For example,
So the form which we
the
form
form
which
which
we
we
create.
generally use to create, those forms are
No,
referred as the process form.
so the form which we attach to the application instance is called process form.
Yes,
Okay.
the form which we attach with the application instance is called the process form, and this process form contains the data which you want to supply to the target system. Okay, now there is one thing which you have to consider over there, that is the logic of how your data is going to propagate from the target system. As I mentioned that when we install the connectors, all the things are going to work in the background, but in the background what are all the processes which are involved? Let's go into the details of all those things. Now here the logic of how the data is going to be propagated from one place to other place, the entire logic is kept inside a place which is generally referred to as process definition. How the entire process is going to work, it's kept inside process definition. Now basically what process definition is, process definition means for a particular application you are defining some sort of process between OIM and the target system. As I mentioned that OIM is responsible for sending the user information to the target system. Sometimes sending, or it in simple words, it's simply providing the access to the user in the target system. Now, how the access or how the data is going to be flow from one place to other place, all these logics are clubbed inside one place which we refer to as process definition. Now, this process definition have a set of certain tasks. Process definition have a set of tasks which is generally referred as process task. Okay, it has a set of tasks. There are few basic tasks which is there applicable for each and every target system, like create user. Now this create user is completely different from the user which we are reconciled from target system to OIM. This create user completely different. This create user means we are supplying the user information from one place, that is from OIM to the target system, which in turn creating a user in the target system as well. There is the second task which is disable user, delete user, and the fourth one is enable user. These are the four set of tasks which are applicable for each and every application. Now what create user means? Create user means this is a task which is going to create a user in the target system. Here the AppBee database. We are trying to create a user from OIM system to the target system. Sometimes it may happen that you want to disable a user in the target system. So for that, we are going to run the disable user task. Similarly, let's say the user left the organization and simply you don't keep track of your old employee for the application access. So in those cases, we are simply freeing up the space in the database by running delete user. It will simply delete the user details from the database. Then we have enable user. Let's say the user was disabled for some period of time, then he again came back to the same application team. So we need to enable the access for the user. So in those cases, we are running the enable user task. Now here, there are few more tasks which are here in this particular process definition. Those tasks are basically update values. Okay, let's say some users phone number has got changed and your application is also keeping track of phone number for, let's say, for OTP and all those things. So in those cases, you want that whenever your phone number has been updated in the HRMS system, that phone number must be propagated to the target system where your phone number data is utilized. So in those cases, what generally OIM is going to do, when the changes come from HRMS system, let's say here the main information source is HRMS system, the end users are going to change his details into the HRMS system, or he may supply his details to the HR that boss, my these things have been changed, kindly proceed with the changes. Let's say you changed all your information of mobile number. The moment you change and the reconcile will run, it will automatically update your details into the user form. Okay, in the user form your details have been updated. Now from user form to process form, there are two different forms in OIM. One is user form, one is process form. User form is the form which will contain all the information about the user in OIM. A process form also contains the information about a user, but it is only containing those set of informations which are only required for the target application for which this particular process form has been created. So basically user form to process form and then from process form to the target system. There are two steps which we need to jump. When any update has been done into the user form, we need to propagate those changes to the process form, the mobile number updation, and then from this particular process form, we need to propagate those changes to the target system. So basically, in order to do this entire thing, how the changes are flowing from one place to other place, we have to create certain tasks. As I mentioned, there is a process definition. There we need to set up the entire provisioning mechanism, how the data flow will work. Now, here we need to write some logic so that whenever any sort of changes appear over here, those changes should automatically propagate to here, and whenever any sort of changes will appear here, those changes will be automatically propagate to the target system. Now, as you know that, okay, what I have done, I have written a particular task in my process definition. Okay, now what I have mentioned over there, I have mentioned a task that change mobile number, and there's another task. Let's say I have given the name change mobile number, and the next task which is responsible for migrating the value or propagating the value from this place to this place. If I mark it as 1, 2, 3, then the first task is responsible for moving the data from 1 to 2, and the second one is responsible for moving the data from the process form to the target system, that is from 2 to 3. I have given the name as mobile number updated. Let's say I have written the logic that okay, the task of change mobile number is to copy the data from user form to process form. Let's say I have written the logic that boss copy the data from user form into the process form. So we are copying the data from user form, and then we are pasting the data to the process form. Now Oracle has written a logic. Okay, the logic is that when we are creating any sort of task in the process definition, let's say I've given the first name as this, it follows some sort of nomenclature. The nomenclature is that when we have a task called change mobile number, it will simply copy the data from the user form and it will paste the data to the process form. The moment this particular task will run, after completion of this task will be automatically run. But you need to make sure the name which you are mentioned over here is change mobile number and mobile number updated. You need to mention this particular nomenclature, that is change and updated, along with the attribute name. If in
Amit,
yes,
can I ask a quick question? These tasks, are they part of the framework, or we have to configure them?
when we install the connector, most of the tasks will automatically come.
Okay.
Okay, and if you are extending or if you are adding some new attributes as we mentioned there, then you need to write your own logic for handling those things.
Okay. And when you refer to change and update, change is when you're copying the
data from the user form to the process form.
Okay, good. Thank you. Carry on.
And the updated means from process form to the target system. And we need to follow this particular nomenclature because Oracle is following this nomenclature that whenever this particular task will run, it will automatically trigger mobile number updated on successfully completion of the first task. Now the question here is that, okay Amit, you have written some logic that okay, copy the data from user form into the process form. That part is fine, we are copying the data. But when the change will happen and when to copy, this thing we have to handle from some place, right? Because OIM system is not that much intelligent that it will go and it will check okay that the changes has been made. You must have some logic which will encounter okay, there is some change happened right now in the user form, and then based on that change we need to trigger this particular task, because this task is simply copying the data from the user form. So we must have some logic to capture that change, right? Agree with me?
Yes.
Vivek? Yeah. Okay. So for that, what Oracle has done, Oracle has created a lookup. There is a lookup called lookup.user process triggers. There is a lookup called user process triggers. In this lookup, we have two different fields, code and decode. In the code part, we are mentioning the database column name for the user table. For example, let's say for mobile number, there is a column called USR_mobile in USR table. Okay, so we are going to write over here that USR_mobile, and whenever any change happen to this particular database column, then we are going to trigger the task change mobile number. So whenever any sort of changes will happen to this database column, it has already created a trigger over there based on database level. If any updation has been made to that particular column, it will automatically trigger all the, or it will simply instruct all the applications which have a change mobile number task in their process definition, be it with facebook.com or be it with any application which have that particular mobile number task. So it will trigger all the mobile number tasks to those application process forms. Okay, for the applications it will automatically trigger this particular process task, and the moment this process task will trigger, and it will simply copy the data from user form to the process form, and then on successful completion of this particular task it will automatically trigger this particular part. Any doubt up to this part?
It's clear.
So,
Yes.
so is it triggered based upon database triggers or on a job scheduler?
It will trigger based upon a database trigger. Okay.
Okay. So
There is no
when you
scheduler which is
define,
running, because the moment you made a change, it will automatically trigger the task to subsequent process. Okay.
right, in this case, when you define the a trigger for user mobile attribute,
Okay.
only whenever that attribute changes, the trigger
Yes.
fires up, right?
That triggers the particular task.
Okay.
Okay, which you are mentioning there. And if this particular task is present in 10 different applications, then this task has been triggered for 10 different applications as well. Okay.
Right. If you have different, you mean 10 different targets.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, someone was asking something. Vijay? Vikas?
No, it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me either.
Okay. Okay, so up to this part is clear?
Yeah.
Another thing, Amit, whenever we say a code value, which refers to the OEM value, right? And a decode value, always the target value,
Target
right?
system, yes. Now the things may be changed when we reconcile the data.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go into details of all those things later.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
up to this part is clear. Then let's go into the next part. That is, we were talking about the provisioning, and in the provisioning we talked about there are a lot of tasks which are mentioned over there, like create user task, delete user task, along with there are few updation of task and all those things. Now how the data has been propagated and all those things we have discussed. Now let's say, as I mentioned, we have a process definition. As I mentioned, that process definition is going to contain the logic that how the data is going to flow from one place to other place. Okay. Now in this process definition, let's say I have a task called create user. Okay. Now when I have a task called create user, now you have to put your logic in that particular task, right? We have a task called create user. In the back end, it must have some sort of logic, and those logics we have written inside adapters. Okay, now let's say in the back end, in this particular create user task, we are using an adapter. Adapter is nothing but a Java code, and in this Java code, what we are doing in layman term, let's say I am simply using JDBC connectivity. I'm fetching all the data from the forms, process form, and then I am just using through JDBC connectivity, I am simply creating a new row over there in the target system. Now, when we create the things, when we trigger some sort of task from OIMN, then we must expect some sort of response from the target system as well, right? There must be some sort of acknowledgement, then only you can say, okay, whether the task was completed or rejected. Let's say during the JDBC connectivity there was some error. you will not be able to reach to the database because the database listener was shut down on that moment of time. If the database is not listening, you won't be able to create, or you won't be able to run any sort of Java query or any sort of SQL statement as well. So whenever we attach some adapters in the process task, we also have a concept of responses. Now what these responses are going to do? These responses are basically going to let OIM know that, okay boss, whether the task which you have given to me and I tried to run in the target system, whether it was successful or not. Okay, and these things have been decided based on the Java code. Let's say I have written something called, I have mentioned some try catch block, and at the end I am returning some string from there. If everything went well, I am returning success, and if anything went wrong, then we might return that fail. So based on this string return, we can configure that whether OIM, how OIM will understand that, okay, this thing was successfully done or it was not successful. Based on that only, OIM is going to change the status of the account for the end user. Because sometimes you might see that the state, let's say I tried to raise a request for a particular account or a particular application. The approval has been done, but still after having the approval, still some sort of my account still stuck in the provisioning state. It is not converted into provisioned state. So whenever you go into the resource history of such task, you will be able to find out that either create user task rejected or some sort of error you might be able to encounter over there. Okay, so every task has a set of adapters, and these adapters are responsible for doing the task in the background. Okay, and these adapters must be able to acknowledge the OIM system whether the task was successfully executed in the target system or not. Based on that only, we are going to perform certain operations and we are going to change the status of the account. Up to this part, any query, any doubt? I hope the provisioning is now clear, that what are all the things which we are going to do, right? Now one more thing is there which I want to discuss over here, that is about forms, because forms are one of the most important thing in OIM system. Okay, now in OIM there are two different kind of forms: user form and process form. Now the process form is further segregated into two different parts. One is parent form and the child form. Right? Now user form, we are aware that user form is basically used for storing the user information. The process form is responsible, and it differs from application to application. It varies from application to application, right? Now a process form can be further segregated into two parts: parent form and child form. Now child forms are not always required. It required on a special occasion or on a special case. Now what that case is, we will discuss it now. Now let's say I have some sort of multi-valued attribute. Okay, let's say, before going into the multi-valued attribute, let me just tell you a small example. Let's say I have a list of students, the course available, and students and course enrollment, that which student has enrolled to which course. Okay, now in the student table we have, let's say, something called a registration number, name, and something called, let's say, class. We have several course ID and course name. Okay, now if I want, let's say registration number 1, name is ABC, class is 12. Now if I want that in the same database column, in the same database row, a student may have enrolled to multiple courses, can we keep those value inside the one table? Can we store multi-valued attribute in a database table?
Yes.
We can, but how?
Referential integrity.
No. There is a concept of normalization.
Yeah, that comes with the referential integrity.
Okay. You told referential integrity?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the concept of normalization says there are various, so it is basically used for reducing the redundancy of the data. Okay. Now, in 1NF, in the first normal form says that we cannot store multi-valued attribute inside a database row. Whenever you have to require, you have to simply normalize the table into one normal form. And this says that you have to create one another table, that is student course enrolled, and here we are going to mention the registration number, whatever will be the primary key over here, along with the course ID. So this is how we are going to tackle multi-valued attribute in a database level, on a database level. Similarly, some application or some customers may come to you and they will tell you, boss, I have a column called, I have an attribute called a role, and the role may be more than one for a single set of user. Okay. Now the moment they tell you that a role may be more than one for a single user, it means that in your OIM end, OIM also has the database, right? Now, in your OIM end, you have to create a child form in order to tackle this particular situation. Now, child form basically used for the attributes which are storing multi-valued, which have multiple values. So for those regions, we have the child form existence. Any doubt up to this part? Vikas, Srinivas, Vijay.
No.
I'm good.
Okay. So based on your requirement that, okay, this particular application has a multiple values for a particular attribute called a role, then in those cases, we have to create the child form. Now, what are all the operations which are possible with the forms we are going to discuss now? Now the multiple, now I hope the child value or the child form concept is now clear. Under which situation this needs to be created. Whenever you encounter that multiple values are required, you have to create a child form for that particular attribute. Now let's discuss that what are all the different set of operations which are possible with forms, basically with process forms. Now let's say a user logged into OIM self-service console, add an item to the cart. And then the moment he add an item, he click on next. The moment he click on next, the OIM will present the form, right? In this form, the user needs to fill up the details based upon the application he has selected in the cart, right? This form is the same form which we have attached with the application instance while creation of the application instance. Now user need to fill up these values, right? Now how these values are going to be filled up? Now as you know that most of the values are already present with OIM, right? OIM has the user form which have all the set of values. Now why you again want to ask the user to fill some values which are already there and which are already known to OIM? Now you can handle these kind of situations. Now for that there is a concept of adapters over here as well. The adapter name is pre-populate adapter. What is the task of pre-populate adapter? That boss, you simply, when you click here and you click on submit, it will automatically submit the values, or it will automatically copy the value from the user form and it will paste the value to these forms, and it will propagate the value to the target system. That's the connector part, but it will fill up this form. There is another concept of pre-populate plugin. Now there is a small difference between both the two things. This is pre-populate adapter, this is pre-populate plugin. Both are responsible for filling up the values in the forms. Okay, but there is one difference between both of them. When you use pre-populate plugin, when the user comes to this page, user will be able to view, okay, the form is filled up already. Okay, but if you are going to use the pre-populate adapter, the user will not be able to view the values which are mentioned over here, because those values are pre-populated when you click on the submit button. But pre-populate plugin will automatically fill up the value during the runtime only. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between adapter and plugin? I didn't get it. Sorry.
Plugins are basically the small task. Okay, adapters and plugins, when we go into the details, when we try to create the adapters and when we try to create the plugin, you will be able to understand that what a plugin means any sort of functionality which is missing in OIM and you are writing that functionality by your own.
Okay, so how is that different from adapter?
Now, adapters are basically responsible for doing certain tasks. Okay, now these tasks, let me just tell you one thing: plugin, event handlers, schedulers, everything is responsible for doing some task. Okay, now this thing which we are doing over here, the plugin, the pre-populate plugin, it is responsible for adding some values to your forms. Okay, now let's say I have one new plugin. That plugin is responsible for generating the email ID based on certain configuration. So basically whenever some missing feature is present, okay, and you are adding that missing feature for betterment of your own application only, we refer this thing to as plugin. These are the missing features.
So let me define what you're trying to say. So are you saying that the framework has certain so framework itself has certain hooks and where you can hook up your plugin, so that's a plugin, but adapter is just an independent code which you can run and get the result.
Yes, definitely.
Is that right?
Yes. Okay. No, these are the yes.
Yeah, with a pre-populate plugin, are the values editable?
Now, when you say the values are editable or not, all these things comes under the UI, because this entire thing stored in the UI, right? If you make some field as read only, okay, those values will be not editable. But if you are not going to, up to this part is clear? Now there are one more thing which are applicable for the forms, that is request validators. Request validators are basically validators which are going to validate your request on the runtime. Let's say you are trying to submit the request, okay? And let's say for this particular request, for this particular application, before this request is provisioned or will initiate, you want that, okay, this particular application is related with Active Directory and the user must be present in Active Directory first, then only this thing can be done. Okay, there is some sort of requirement like this. Then in those cases, we are going to write our own request validators. Okay, which is going to look into the request that, okay, whether all the prerequisite side before raising this request has been completed or not. Is it clear?
Which means that if you have a request validator and if it needs to check something, as you said, Active Directory,
yes,
does it mean it's going to look into the profile of the user and check if this application instance has been provisioned or not? Or does it going to check outside OIM?
You can also check outside OIM as well. Okay, because this thing is a Java code, okay, and whatever you write over there, your own logic, it will look or it will do based on your own logic. Okay.
Okay, good.
So these request validators, are they also mapped to adapters or just its own Java code?
Its own Java code.
Okay, just called request validators.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's it from mine for today. Okay. Any query, any doubt, any question up to this part? So basically now you have a idea that what are all the things which we are going to look into. Whatever things I have mentioned in the last two classes, we are going to do a lot of hands-on on those things as well. Okay.